This is my second attempt at making this video. This video app that I'm using froze up on me while I was doing this when I started to talk about a particular thing, so bear with me here. What I'm bringing you today, right now, as you're watching this, is this week's Tarot Snapshot. This is a tarot reading. This video should last 10 minutes-ish. I try to make it no longer. It might be a little bit shorter, but bear with me. And what I want you to do is I want you to work against that urge to just keep scrolling. Our attention spans are so short, but bear with me. Stay with me because this card reading is for us all. It's completely free. I hope that you get something out of it. And this is that 3-card reading that shows us where we're at collectively, what vexes and perplexes us, our challenge, what heals and reveals, our guidance. So stay with me here. I've already shuffled the cards. I haven't pulled any, but I want to talk to you about something outside of the tarot cards for a moment. Now, I'm not a psychic or a medium or a tarot reader that would get up in front of people and be like, I was listening to spirits or hearing spirits when I was a kid. I've been doing this since I was a child. I was just a kid that liked horror movies and read Stephen King, was into the spooky and the kooky stuff. This stuff came upon me later in life when I took a DNA test that led me to ancestry research. And then here's what blew my mind. You know, I walk through the world not believing in spirit. Maybe it's there, but it's so out of reach for us all of that. But the spirits of the dead, the spirits of the ex-humans, spirits that were once human but are no longer, they're with us all. We are guided by our beloved dead and our ancestors. That's hard enough to wrap our head around, but here's the other part that's difficult. We grow up learning about mythology, stories, Greek and Roman gods. Here's what's melted my mind. The gods and goddesses of ancient traditions are real. Angels are real. Saints are in the world of spirit. Land spirits are real. Spirits of mountains, spirits of trees, spirits of animals. The unseen world is as vast and complicated as the seen world is. I'm not mentioning the spirits that I think caused my app to mess up, but if you know, you know. So I'm not going to mention them, but let's get into the tarot reading. The reason why I say that is because through this process of mine, I have gone through this reenchanting process of like going from the mundane, everything's fake, everything's myth, you know, everything's like, that's all fake, but science is real. And science is real, and we should lean into it. But when you experience the otherworldly in a tangible way, it changes you as a person, hopefully in a better way. So with that being said, let's lean into the tarot cards and see if they have anything to do with that message. The first card that represents who we are in this moment right now, it does lean into that message that I just brought up. Here is the 5 of Cups. So this is a card of grief. The most potent form of grief that I found outside of losing a child, losing a partner, losing a parent, losing a loved one or a pet to spirit. That's incredibly impactful grief. Yet, there's a lot of grief around the life we thought we were going to lead, but then ended up not. Take a person who walks into a relationship, and something that I've been really sitting with this past week, really sitting with it because I've seen it a lot, is one of the most horrendous things one human can do to another human is cheat on them. To walk into a relationship, say that you're committed, try to build a life, and then run around on that person. The damage that gets done to the person who's cheated on is, I don't want to say irreparable, but very impactful. This is the card of grief. This is us looking at the cups that have been spilt over, but we're not paying attention to the cups that are standing. Right now, there's a lot of wild stuff going on in the United States. A lot of wild stuff. Yeah, our electricity is still running. Food is still being delivered to grocery stores. We still have access to medicine and heat and air and all of that. Things might not be ideal, but that does not mean things are horrible. This is also part of that message of like, you know, let's not look in just one direction and see what we don't have. So many of our lives are spiritually sterile when there's so many spirits behind us that are with us, the ancestors, the beloved dead, spirits of the land, all sorts of spirits that can interact with us, and many of them that don't want anything to do with us. Let's take a look at what challenges us, what vexes and perplexes. Finding balance in this world. So here is the Two of Pentacles. Card of balance, absolutely. So I want to show you the symbols here. So the pentacles mean the physical realm, the earthly realm. It can also mean money and resources and all of that. But it's the physical realm, our bodies, the world that we are in. A couple of things here. The waves in the background show us that life is always going to be rocky. The lemniscate, or this infinity symbol right here, shows us that as so long as we are physical beings, the world is going to be complicated. This is not a perfect world, nor will it ever be a perfect world, nor will it ever match up to our ideals. It just won't. So here we have the wild and wicked world that we live in. Wild, wicked, and wonderful, absolutely. But this is the juggler. This is the dancer. And we have to remember, we've got to juggle with it. We've got to play with it as best we can. Being all uptight and bitter and judgy and hateful, not going to get us through in a healthy way. If this card is where we're at in terms of what vexes and perplexes us, we're having a hard time juggling everything. We're having a hard time remembering to have fun with it all. We're having a hard time remembering that 500 years ago, people had a rough time. 5,000 years ago, people had a rough time. Some of us have better lives than others. But essentially, every single time you become incarnate as a human being, shit's going to go wild. It's going to get a little crazy. So let's see what we have in terms of our guidance, what heals and reveals. The Hanged Man. Okay. One of my favorite cards. This was my card of the year a few years ago. Here we have somebody who has hung themselves upside down. There's a sense of service here. This card has a layer of sacrifice and service to others. There's a fine line between being a martyr and being a savior. The myth of Odin, who hung himself on the world tree to gain us the magic and the power of the runes. The myth of Christ, who was crucified on the cross to redeem us all. This is a myth that goes through all sorts of spiritualities and cultures. Yet, what this card ultimately teaches us, look at the halo around the head. When we see things from a different perspective, perhaps even seeing them as from upside down, we have a sense of enlightenment or wisdom. How can we look at what's going on around us in a different light? Okay, so do this for me. This has been one of the most powerful lessons I think I've learned my entire life. When we can take the word victim in any of our narratives and turn it into the word student, we get our power back. Sure, this person has been victimized, but what did they learn from it? I know this is tough because not every single tragedy that befalls us is something that we can turn this into. What I mean is that some tragedies and some awful things are really going to happen to us. There's nothing that we can make come of it. Okay. In terms of like learning from it, you know what I mean? But a majority of the awful things that we can experience, we can turn into wisdom. How many things have you gone through in your life where once you went through it, once you've healed from it, you looked back and you're like, I'm glad I went through it. It taught me a whole lot. It taught me a whole lot. So right now, collectively, what are we learning? What are we learning? And what are we learning? Or are we staying in a victim mentality? Yes, we're grieving. Yes, we have a lot of things to mourn right now. We're not remembering the world and the human existence from a bigger picture, from a standpoint, and we're all losing our capacity to have fun. Yet, if we can turn that around and look at the victim mentality as being a student mentality, we get our power back. Whether it's something that's going on in your life right now that you might be suffering from personally, or whether you are mourning what's going on collectively, how can you learn from it? How can you take your power back? And how can you remember to juggle it in a healthy, balanced, and perhaps even fun way? And call upon the spirits around you. If you're having a real hard time, ask your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your teachers, anybody in spirit. Ask them for the strength to get through whatever it is that's challenging you. Open your heart up to their presence. Open your heart up to perhaps even a burden tree. Here's an interesting thing. So let me talk to you about the other spirits. Trees have spirits. I've communicated with them. This guy's on a tree. All right. There's a tradition called having a burden tree. Go out and find an old tree, sit at the base of it, and talk to it. Give it your burdens and see if it helps. See if it helps. It's certainly not going to hurt. Go get it out of your heart. And remember to look at what you still have standing. All my love to you. Thank you for being here. To find out more about me, to find my actual readings, find me online at joshsimons.com.